This is KUGAN CASSIUS for IFL-TV in association with Macklin's Gym Marbella. We're in Berlin here. The afternoon of the weigh-in, which hasn't taken place yet, for Abraham and Smith. With me. Introduce yourself.
You introduce me, you like.
Berry's finest. Scott Quigg. Who else is from Berry though?
Gary and Phil Neville.
Oh right, yeah, so you're not quite as famous as them.
Who isn't?
You're not as famous as the Nevilles, are you?
Oh, come on.
Maybe you're more famous than the dad, Neville.
Yeah, I'll settle for that.
Yeah?
Yeah.
We're in Berlin here, fight week. Well, fight's tomorrow, but I've been here since Wednesday. You got here, when did you get here? Wednesday?
Yeah, yesterday.
Yesterday as well. First of all, it's going to be tough in Berlin at Arthur Abraham's home place for Paul Smith to reproduce what he did back in September and more.
Yeah, that's the key thing. He's got to produce more than he did last time. Last time weren't good enough. But I do think Abraham's going to come better, so Paul's got to come better. And big ask again, but I do think Paul's prepared better than he did last time. He's in better condition, and Abraham is, but it depends whoever's got that bit more, that bit extra. That's what's going to come down to. And listen, I don't think Paul will get a decision. I don't think he wins on points. I think he's got to stop Abraham, and I think if he goes out there and has a shootout with him, it's a 50-50, but it's dangerous, but I think that's what he's gonna and will do. So it's going to be exciting.
Did Paul surprise you with his performance in the first fight?
No, I seen him in the gym and I knew that if he stuck to what him and Joe were working on, I knew he would have been able to give a good account of himself. The Abraham that is around now isn't the Abraham of old. If it was the Abraham of old, would Paul have, you know, put that his levels in it? But Paul proved that he did belong in the ring with him, and you know he's got to go that bit further. And he's been pushed in training hard, and big ass. But I think, listen, it's going to be exciting, put it that way, because I know Abraham's come back, and he's gonna. He didn't prepare 100% for Paul last time.
So we could see a different fighter in both.
Yeah, oh yeah, you're gonna see two different fighters, but it's how much Abraham has left and can still get back to where he was at, you know, when he was in his peak. See how past he is. We know what Paul's got. Paul was inactive before the first fight for quite a long time, so obviously that's going to revolt. He stayed in the gym, so he's built on that.
Well, tomorrow night these questions will be answered. Another Brit tomorrow night, Martin Murray, goes in against Gennady Golovkin. Murray's obviously had them fights with Sturm and Martinez, which he was very unlucky in.
Both of them.
Yeah, both of them. And going into Martinez's home country and performing like he did, a lot of people thought he won. But he's got it all to do against Golovkin.
Listen, he's got a massive task on his hands there, you know. But listen, Martin's a real good, solid fighter, and I like Martin a lot. I think he went over to Germany, went over to Argentina. He goes, you know, fought him in the backyard, and he would have gained on that experience. Whether, listen, he's an absolute beast, Golovkin, and I really hope he does it. But it's a big ask. And listen, I know Martin will be in the shape of his life. He went away for training in South Africa for his training camp, away from his family. So, listen, Martin believes he can. Him and Oliver believe they've got the style to cause Golovkin big problems. It's just about going in there, and I hope he does it.
Certainly hope so. Frampton fights next week. This is mandatory challenger Chris Avalos, which is on ITV. First of all, that's a good move by them to get that on terrestrial TV.
Yeah, these obviously it's good. It's good for them, but also it's good for British boxing. You know, it's putting it back in the, you know, the public eye in British boxing, and people want to. It's a good fight. You know, it's a good fight.
Obviously, that's his mandatory challenger. Have you got a little niggle at the moment?
Hand's still on the mend, healing well, and it's just about, you know, hopefully it keeps healing well, and the recovery rate at the minute is going well, so can start light punching from next week, and then we've just got to see how it, when the impact starts on the knuckles, see how it responds. Fingers crossed it'll be fine.
Did I do a disservice by calling that a little niggle?
No, not really, it's a little niggle, isn't it? Nah, what had happened, I'd split my index and middle finger tendons in half. So, it was...
So I did then?
Yeah, just a bit.
Just a little bit. When have you targeted a date for return?
I'd like to be in the ring, you know, 150% ready by end of May, early June. That's when I know I'd be. That's all depending on how this responds and when it starts getting some impact on the knuckles. Fingers crossed, end of May, early June, I'll be ready.
Do you notice ever since I've been interviewing you, I've kind of been asking you the same questions in every interview? Do you realise that?
No, never realised.
Have you not?
No.
No, not like just stuff about obviously Abraham Smith and all that, but to do with your career, I've kind of asked you the same things over and over again. I'm not saying it's boring. I'm not saying it's boring. I'm just saying that, I don't know, it'd be nice to be talking to you saying, right, you got your fight coming up with Frampton, you got your fight coming up with Santa Cruz and whoever, and talking about that. But
I'd like to be talking about
I know you would. I know you would.
You know, they're the fights I want. Hopefully, you know, Cal comes through against Avalos. We can make that fight.
How optimistic are you about that? Because from an outside perspective, it just seems so easy, but not easy, and so far away at the same time.
The thing is, it should be so simple.
It should be, yeah.
If they want the fight can be made. You know, there's no two ways about it. I want that fight. You know, people, it doesn't matter where the fight takes place. They say they want the fight. I want that fight, and I 1,000,000% know I will beat him. And he'll think he can beat me, and that's what you ask the public. You're going to get a split decision, who's going to win the fight. That's why the fight's so big, and hopefully this fight happens, because it needs to.
Who's the bigger draw, Quigg or Frampton? Who's the bigger draw?
In Ireland, him over Amy. You know, there's nothing. You know, if he comes and fights over here, he ain't selling 89,000 over here. So in Ireland, he's the main attraction over there. There's nothing really else in Ireland. You know, he's sporting that. So you got over here, you've got in Manchester, you've got me, Anthony Crawler, you've got, you know, and then you've got Carl Froch, Kevin. You've got there's loads of fighters. You know that people. But over in Ireland, it's just him. You know, he's the main fighter over there. So everyone's got behind him, and rightly so. So listen, who's the bigger draw? The fight in itself is as big because it's both of us. You know, he ain't gonna be selling or making whatever he makes, or you know what this fight could generate. You know, he ain't gonna sell a football stadium out fighting Avalos, Martinez, or anyone else. So we gonna sell a stadium out or whatever because of me and him. People want to see me and him fight, not him against someone else or me against someone else. The fight is big because of both of us, Not because of me, not just because of him. Because people want to see who's the best.
In your honest and realistic opinion, do we see Quigg Frampton this year?
Me? 100%.
I know you would, but in your head, do you believe that we will see that fight this year?
Yeah.
Okay, that's positive.
Yeah, I think 100% it should, and it should be next.
This goes back for the last sort of couple of years when you were British champion. Now you've both got belts.
Yep.
There isn't really a better time to have this fight, is there?
No, listen, put belts aside or whatever. I just want, it's the fight. If there were no belts, so it's the fight people want to see. Just, we have 2 belts, we have a belt each, and it just adds to it.
There's so many. I mean, the reason I asked Eddie Hearn this the other day. I said, look, Quigg Frampton. I said, ITV, Sky Sports, IBF, WBA, blah blah blah. And I was going through the thing. I said, like, where's the, you know? But you know, Eddie's adamant that this fight sort of is a pay-per-view fight.
Yeah, I mean,
and obviously that can only happen on Sky.
Yeah, they're not tied to anyone. Listen, if it could generate the same numbers and figures on ITV that it could on Sky pay-per-view,
yeah,
you'd be stupid to do it on Sky pay-per-view and not do it on ITV because more people are going to see. But the numbers don't match up. It's a business at the end of the day. That's what you have a promoter for. That's why Eddie's my promoter. That's why he gets the best deal for me. So it's whether you beat someone for. I'd rather beat someone for £1 million instead of £500,000. You know, I know I'll beat him. But I'd rather do it for the most money.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Do you know what I mean?
Do you think your potential fight with Frampton is a standalone pay-per-view fight? Do you believe it is? I
believe it is. You know, obviously, listen, in boxing, you want a good card as well. But I think it's a standalone pay-per-view 1,000,000%. But to give punters value for money, you have to have a good undercard. Do you know, that doesn't matter whether it was back in the day Mike Tyson against such a person pay-per-view, you should have had a good undercard.
Yeah, I mean the reason I say obviously the last pay-per-view show Cleverly Bellew.
Yeah.
Eddie Hearn, said it was a pay-per-view card rather than a sole event.
Yeah.
So I just wondered where your fight comes into that category of whether that's.
It's a sole thing. I honestly believe it's the biggest fight in British boxing. Besides, you've got me and Frampton, and you've probably got Brooke Khan.
Yeah.
And maybe DeGale and Groves.
Yeah, I think to be honest, when you ask people 3 fights that they'd pick out that are realistic and could easily happen as well if egos and promoter bollocks was put aside for a second. I think 8 out of 10 people, or even 9 out of 10 people, would say the 3 fights you just mentioned: yourself and Frampton, Brooke and Khan probably at the top of it.
Yeah.
And also DeGale and Groves. So I think that's realistic if we got them 3 fights this year or in the next year.
I say them 3 fights as well because me as a boxing fan as well would like to see them.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So
apart from the fact that you're in one of them.
I'd like to watch it back as well after I've done the business. So
yeah. All right. Well, listen. Whatever. Get their hands sorted out first, and then
the men. So all good.
Get back to action soon. Let's hope we've got 2 new British World Champions come tomorrow night.
Yep.
And yeah, Quigg Frampton, still want it to happen.
It will happen, don't worry.
Alright, Scott Quigg, listen, thanks for talking to IFL TV, and have a great weekend. Do a bit of Moncler shopping later on.
We'll both do it.
No problem. Thank you very much.